Excuse me, sorry.
Hello and welcome to the VGNHL podcast. Today I'm John Stafford. This week, as we enter our third week of the season now, a lot of changes happen, and a lot of drama. We're going to start off going over Buffalo.
Oh, I'm doing wonderful.
It's like fourth, right about where that power ranking is. Plus 11, better than Tampa Bay.
Yeah, we had a rough first week. A little bit better this last week, but kind of figuring out line combinations and all that stuff. We've had a bunch of blowout wins lately. That's attributing to our goal differential right now, but we're right where I want to be right now.
John Stafford here. Sorry, I dropped from the call there. Thanks for coming on the show there, Captain Clutch. It's good to have you. Just had a question for you there. Now, when you're leading into the preseason bidding, what kind of factors are you taking into play when you're placing your bids on these to build your team?
Well, I had an idea of what I wanted to do going into it based on what I was returning from last season, and my captain and myself playing certain positions and whatnot.
Right.
But basically, I knew that I wanted at least one big forward.
Right.
I mean, losing Death to free agency because that's what he wanted. That was a big loss for us. So I wanted to replace his talent. But other than that, I mean, I've had pretty much the same core players for 3-4 seasons now.
Right.
So
it becomes a form of comfortable, right? And you got chemistry with the guys. You invested time in them, right? So you want to kind of retain that chemistry. It's hard to build that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess that big heavy that you were aiming at has got that biggest price tag on your list, and I think it's money well spent. I mean, I just got to make mention currently right now, despite the fact that you guys are below 500 right now, you guys have two of the top 5 point getters in the entire league in Rise of the Ninja, who's taken $11 million of salary cap, and as well as MJ Vo as well, or MJ Voel, I guess, 4-4. He's also ranked in the top 5 in points too. So let's talk about how those guys have impacted your team and what your goals for them are moving forward.
Well, I mean, they were my two studs, and it shows. I mean, everybody was talking about how Ninja wasn't going to be playing much this season. I had talked with him, and he says, "No, I'm still pretty much an everyday player." So,
right.
Those two, they had a little tiff with each other early on, just because they didn't understand each other and how they each wanted to play, and that's why we had a bit of a rough start. But now that they're on the same page and we're clicking on all cylinders, Thursday we beat Arizona 10-0. That's a team that's 11-5.
Right.
So
Awesome.
now that those guys are clicking, the sky is the limit for this team. I really believe that.
Right. So moving forward, you guys really feel like now you've kind of got those early beginning of the season kind of kinks out. It's all the greases are flowing.
Yep.
So let's talk about Sunday. All right. I think it's important always to kind of kick it off with a really strong start to your week. Now, as I'm looking down at your schedule, you're facing Tampa, who you guys are really tight right now in your standings, Toronto and Carolina. So out of those matchups, how do you feel you guys are going to stack up against them?
I mean, Sunday is our biggest night this week. It will go a long way to putting us in a better spot. It'll tell me exactly where we are in reference to our division, in reference to our conference, and all of it. So, I mean,
right. So you're really looking at Sunday as a really good measuring stick as to where your team is going to be moving forward in the season. Do you feel like it's going to break your season if you guys can't pull it off this Sunday?
No, there's a lot of hockey. No, there's a lot of hockey to play.
Right.
Because realistically, we started out the season, the first week, I think we were like 4-5 or maybe 3-5 even. And I just told the guys, I'm like, look, it's the first week of the season. There is a lot of hockey. There is a lot of time left. There's no reason for anybody to panic. We will get this all figured out. And the second week we improved. Now I hope, truth be told, I believe Sunday night is our most difficult night of the entire week. So we get through Sunday, we do our best. If we can come out 2-1, I'm happy with that.
Of course. Yeah, well, no, that'll be a good, strong start to momentum for you guys. Well, Captain, that's all I really got for you today, man. Thanks so much for your time and coming on the show. And I wish you guys... Is there a message, last thing, is there a message you want to send out to your division? You get a little chirp fest going to everyone out there that the greases are now, the wheels are churning out in Buffalo.
We're coming. We're coming.
Hey, now, thanks so much, Captain Clutch. I appreciate it. I'm going to pass it back over to the man here.
All right, guys. Thanks.
So from there on, we'll continue looking at the Atlantic Division. See, Ottawa has the lead there with 11 wins, 4 losses, and 1 OTL, sitting at those 23 points, 1 point ahead of Toronto and Tampa Bay. You got that plus 24 differential going for them. That's pretty huge. They are only on a 1-win streak, 5-3-0 on the road, 6-3-1 in their last 10. Behind them is the Toronto Maple Leafs, sitting at a 9-5-4 record, getting all those overtime losses, sitting at a +4. Last time was 3-5-2, so a little bit of a struggle. See if they can hop back here. Tampa Bay close behind them, with Buffalo just trailing. Tampa Bay sitting at 9-7-2 with a -7 goal differential, which is kind of scary. Just sitting at that 500 mark, 4-5-1 in their last 10, 5-4-1 on the road, 4-3-1 at home. So they're sitting about 500 everywhere. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at Ottawa while we're looking at this division and see why they are so strong and pulling away from the competition. So we got Smirk over here, the owner of Ottawa. Give me 1 sec, guys. So we have Smirk over here, just killing it. Nielsen, left wing, lefty. We got Recchi in net, who is one of the leaders, as you guys can see his name up on the scroll bar up top. And we can definitely go check out how some of these guys are doing. Let's check out King Bling's stats, along with Recchi's goalie stats so far. John, do you have any input about this team here?
Yeah, actually, well, I do know that King Bling, like I have him ranked actually as one of the top, I believe. Here, hang on, because I went through and I looked at every position, and I looked at the top 3 of each of those. So right now, actually, in the entire league, King Bling is sitting as number 3 center, like for overall points.
Yep.
So he's definitely having a strong season. Now, what I am noticing is that he doesn't have the best availability. He's only got 9 games played. Like in comparison to a lot of the other players that are like A Convict or Malkin, these guys are sitting at 16 games played and 17 games played, and Insane Hellfire's at 17. King Bling's only sitting at 9 right now. So it's kind of actually scary what he's been able to do with less games played. He's a plus 17. He's averaging 3.89 points per game. So I think that, you know, he's playing a good role for them.
Data. He's at 10 games now, 4 points per game with Ottawa, and 3.25 with the 4 games in San Jose.
Okay, because I just took this at 6. So, all right. So yeah, I took a screenshot of each of them, so I'd have it all quickly ready to go. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I may be looking at old data here, but that's unfortunate. But still, like the 1 game difference remains the same, right? If they can get a few more games out of him in a week, they're going to get a few more W's, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. So from there, he looks like he's sitting at 12 goals, 12 assists, pretty even since he's gone over to Ottawa. Let's move on over to Recchi. Check out some of his goalie stats so far this season. That's why he has such a high save percentage. Only 1 game in net. 9 games at forward, probably right wing, I presume. So at 1.89 points per game and a plus 8. That's still not too bad, depending on where he's playing at. Haven't looked into that.
Right, and also Champ 514 is also playing a big role for them this year. Like he's actually ranked right now, like his top forwards in his position.
And I've actually had Champ on my team back when I was an owner. He's a good guy, good player, plays hard, plays wherever you need him to. Left wing, lefty, doesn't matter.
Competent player as well, solid attitude. And I know I had made mention to him in the pre-draft show. I was like, Champ had jumped out at me as a good pick, and he's a steal of a deal at 500K like that. He's probably going to shoot me and be like, be quiet. I don't want my stock to rise, you know?
I've got a whole
but I mean, yeah, I agree. Like, and obviously they got Tabs too, who's a solid player and a good leader, you know? He's a good guy in the locker room. So I can see a lot of positives, and it's easier to understand the more we look into Ottawa why they're doing so well.
Absolutely. Let's move back onto the standings here and finish checking out this Atlantic Division. Boston's struggling down there right now, 7-10-1. Montreal 6-11. Florida 5-13-1, and Detroit 4-11-2. Let's go take a look at Detroit here as well.
Yeah, Detroit is someone I wanted to talk about actually. Like, as a team I've been investigating for a story, because I know we had them ranked pretty high, and a lot of other people agreed that they were going to be a contender this year. So it's kind of very interesting to see where they've landed after the first 2 weeks, right? Like, I know that Big Jan is gone from that team as well. Like, and he was one of their bright stars, and one of the reasons why they were ranked, I believe, so high.
Yeah, they were. We can actually pull up here. Detroit was ranked. They were ranked number 9 in the power rankings going into the season.
Yeah, top 10, right, in the whole league. So it's somewhat of a fall from grace without even, you know. I mean, that's why you can never really predict what's going to happen, and you know.
Absolutely, that's why we leave it up to the management vote.
Yeah,
that way we don't get
that's the smart, right? That's the cop out. But yeah, they're sitting at 4-11-2, and yeah, and they're on a 6-game losing skid right now, and in their last 10 is not great. It's 1-8-1 in their last 10.
Yeah, it's been a struggle for sure. I know Jack. He's been through this many times before. He knows how to pull through and keep rebuilding the team throughout the season. So I'm definitely expecting more out of them. Maybe a playoff push throughout the season here.
Wow, really? Eh? Well, I guess it's true. It's still really early, right? I mean, it can be turned around, but like you said, you know, it really does take a cool-headed manager that's wily, you know, can make the right moves at the right time, and
he's been through this before. It's not a new experience to him. He knows how to handle it.
There you go.
With that said, we can move on over to the Metro Division here. We got New Jersey killing it at 15-1. They were in the preseason power rankings at number 6, and I've really showed up after that.
They're living up to expectations big time.
Yeah.
A nice big surprise coming in at number 2 is Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know we had talked about them. They were ranked, I believe, like 21 in the
Correct.
preseason power rankings. And I mean, they're definitely far from that. They're really doing a good job out there, premier player.
Mm-hmm. Then we got Philly sitting there. They were number 3 in the power rankings. This was a really tough division. They're 11-7-0 right now. Carolina, who was number 1, is sitting at 10-5, but with only 15 games played. Then we got the Capitals chilling at 9-6-1. New York.
What a tough. This is a stacked division.
Absolutely, this is probably the best division in the league this season.
Just a second, buddy. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. Don't worry about it. So
yeah, it's a super stacked division. You know, it's a dogfight out there in the Metropolitan Division, really.
Absolutely. Let's go over and check out New Jersey's rosters here.
Well, they have Tarasenko, right? And he is the best, I believe, right wing in the league. Let me check my notes here.
I believe he is currently. I think Malkin's the only one ahead of him in points right now.
Yeah. So Tarasenko is sitting atop of the right wing pound for pound list, number 1, 14. Oh, I don't know if these are up to date now. I'm a little worried, but I got him at 14 games played, 27 goals, 23 assists, 50 points, 3.57 games per points per game at a cool plus 25. No surprise, really. The guy's a stud.
Absolutely. Is that 3.47 points per game? That's just huge this point in the season right now. Anything over 3 is just absolutely solid. His record individually playing in games is 14-1 this season, so he's played in about every game for him.
Yeah, and it shows, man. And that's why they're doing so well. You know, like we mentioned, we were talking about him in the preseason show, and how that's the type of player that really is an impact player, right? He's the type of guy that could make or break your team, you know, and he's firing at all cylinders, and good for New Jersey, right?
Yep, and they've got Boston, Detroit, and the Rangers coming up on Sunday. It's not too tough of a schedule for them. I expect 3 more swift wins.
Yeah, it's a tough division for sure.
So definitely take a look at Columbus here. I know a premier player wanted to be on, but he just wasn't available, unfortunately.
Yeah, we would have loved to have him on for sure. Hopefully we can get him in next week or in the next show. We'll see how the chips fall.
I know Mino is really impressing this season.
He is, yes. He was well sought after, right?
They do have.
I believe, did he not win he won a year-end award, I believe. I can't remember which one.
I believe he did as well.
Yeah.
They've got Philly coming up on Sunday, and then the Capitals and Sharks. So they'll have a pretty easier game, and with the Capitals there, tough match versus Philly. It's pretty important.
Yeah, and they got a rookie goalie in there too, Mart. So I've had the pleasure of playing with that guy, and he's no joke, man. He's actually a really solid goalie. So I'm going to really quickly look at him because they have one of the bigger rosters I'm seeing here that you're going to see in the NHL.
Martz is sitting at 9 games played, 7-2 record with a 2 GAA and an 8.46 save percentage. Coming off that last season in the PHL with his 8.30 save percentage, he's just getting better and better.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. You know, I had the pleasure of ECU him there a couple times, and he's a beast, man. He's a really good, solid goalie. He doesn't jump. You know, he's got good availability. He's a quiet guy, but a solid guy to say the least. So I'm not surprised to see him having a strong rookie showing.
Then I have Mino's stats up here as well. He's sitting at 19 goals and 15 assists in only 13 games. 2.62 points per game and a plus 17 so far in the season.
Awesome.
He's got 80 shots on net, 26 hits, and 11-2 record while he's in the game. Wow,
that's a lot of shots on goal. That's important, man. Like, I find a lot of the times, like, I mean, just from my own personal experience in playing, is sometimes we get a little too pretty or we try to cycle a little too hard and you don't really see the shots on goal. And it's important to have them on. I mean, like, I feel like it creates momentum, you know? 80 shots, that's a lot to have, I feel.
I do see Pittsburgh sitting at that negative 35 differential. Let's check them out before we move to the West here.
Sorry, who are we checking out real quick?
Pittsburgh sitting at that negative 45 differential on a 4-13 record. I know PNC had a little bit of a struggle coming in early in the season, but he's got You Want to Be Me on left wing lefty at only $5 million. You Got Wrecked lefty at $6 million. These guys
Yeah,
should really be performing a lot better. I know they definitely need help. Hypey and right wing's all right. Joyrides is solid, but between the three of them, they got to put up some points. Let's go ahead and check out You Want to Be Me's stats while we're here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know you got wrecked as a player. He can do some really good stuff, but I find that he has a tendency to sometimes hold it too long to where the play that he did create, it ends up expiring, right? There's a window. So when you're doing your dangles and you're doing your dekes, right? It's to open up ice, right? So you can send it to someone to drive the puck in. Now sometimes if you hold it too long, then it gives everyone a chance to cover the open man, and then you end up turning it over, right?
Right. And it looks like Pittsburgh just acquired You Want to Be Me from Toronto. Hasn't played a game with them yet, so hopefully that's a good change of pace for him. Joyride.
Well, if they're looking for goaltending and defense, then You Don't Know Me. He can definitely fill that role for them. Like I played with You Don't Know Me, and he's a good goalie, and he's even better defenseman. I see they got sold to Scythe too, V Rain. So I think those are new players. They started with Colorado.
So now we can start moving on to the West here. And we will look at the Central Division first and bring on our next guest in just a second here. Feel free to start talking in those chat, guys. I have the chat up. We can talk with you guys. Any questions for us, feel free to announce them. Got the league leaders sitting up at the top for you, scrolling across.
Okay, cool. So are we doing this by I guess.
Looks like we have our next guest in here now. Welcome, Boston Hydro. How are you doing today?
Good, buddy. Good, buddy. It's good to be here. How you doing, guys?
Good. So you're sitting at that 500 record, 8-8 right now with a negative 14 goal differential. Can you tell us a little bit about how your team's been doing this season?
Yeah, we kind of struggled with what Duck and I try to do this year was keep the core. The last couple of weeks of last year, we did really well. So we try to keep as much of the core, and we actually did do that, but we struggled at the beginning to get back to the basics and play like John was just saying. Sometimes you got to dish that puck up instead of that fancy dangling.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think that really killed us the first week, and we're starting to figure it out. We've been communicating a lot. We're negative on a lot of stats that we should not be with the team that we have. But the good thing is we got some really good peeps, and we're communicating. So we ended up having a really good Thursday, and things are turning around. So we look for good things happening here in Chicago. That's a fact.
Yeah, it looks like you have a pretty important Sunday coming up with Dallas, Minnesota, and Calgary. How do you feel about these games?
They're going to be tough because we haven't played either one of them yet. Minnesota's going to be a tough one. I love my buddy Hero. He's a good friend of mine. Don't live too far from me. But they got a pretty strong team. And I think for me, the key for them is their goalie. Who are they going to play? I mean, they got at least two good solid goalies, three solid goalies with Zim. Can't underestimate Zim. So I think depending on where they go with goalie, it's going to be pretty interesting because they got a pretty solid core, and we got our shit together right now, so they better watch out. And that's my boy Hero, so he's going to have to buy me a beer if he loses, which he's going to lose.
I was taking a look at your depth chart, and I noticed that it was really top heavy with centers and forwards, and really minimal on the defensive end. Now, was that a strategy of yours going into this when you were building a crew, or is this just where the chips fell?
It's kind of where the chips fell. I initially, we got some pretty good defensemen, in my opinion. We don't have too much depth in it, but the thing is, John, is the big thing about what we do here in Chicago is we make sure we get people that want to play. We have good people and really solid fucking dudes. And I believe that if you stick with really good people, the talent comes. So I have no worries about our defense. We have guys
absolutely.
that can play it really well. And
I feel like there's main factors that go into building a team, and one of them is availability for sure. when you got a
Correct.
group of guys that could play together constantly and kind of develop that bond as well as that chemistry off the ice, it really shows when it comes game time for sure.
And I'm 100% sure, John. I don't think I have one player. We have one player that is stuck to just one position. So even our goalie plays defense. Everybody. I mean, if I'm playing anything but goalie, something's fucking wrong. Something's wrong. So I will not be playing anything but goalie. But like I said, we got a versatile group, and they're all willing to play whatever needs to be played that night. I love it. It's what it's all about: having good people, having fun.
Could you?
And that's what we have here.
Could you tell us a little bit about the decision going into franchise tagging Castro? I know he was super excited about that. And
yeah, you know what? He deserved to be excited about it, because let me tell you something. Like I said, when we made I say we, I'm going to say Lumi, because a lot of people don't realize that Lumi was a big, he did a big chunk of all the IT stuff. I'm not much of a computer guy, so he did most of the behind the scenes stuff that people didn't really see.
Mm-hmm.
So signing Castro as a free agent, when he made those trades last year, and we got Castro, we got Duck. I mean, we made some serious moves, and believe it or not, I mean, we had fun. We were playing, we were winning. Sometimes we didn't lose. We don't point the finger. We figure out what's going on and try to correct it. Sometimes the puck goes the way it goes, and shit happens. That's the way it is. But franchising him was a no-brainer. I look at what people went for. Look at my buddy Krilla. Shame on him for accepting that $7, $10, $9 million, even though I was one of the guys that bid $5, $6 million for him, because I love him to death. But I knew that was going to happen this year. So for me to franchise him and get him for what I paid for this year was a no-brainer, brother. And his character alone, there's no way I could not re-sign him just for his character alone. And
I've only known Castro a short time, and I agree. He's a really cool guy, and I don't hate you guys for giving him that tag. Now, just to kind of backtrack really quickly, just wanted to ask it. It said that you guys are almost a team of utility players, where they're able to play multiple positions. Now, do you find that that's a positive, or do you think it might hinder you sometimes? Because, I mean, I understand that it's great to, have people that are versatile, but it's also important to have specialists, right?
Correct.
So do you think that if you guys were more like, you're the best at this position, let's get you there as much as possible, not so much as, hey, let's show up and figure it out, because we're all so versatile, do you think it would help you more to be more strict at your positioning?
No, so here's the thing. We're very strict for positioning. But what the question was before was about the drafting. I drafted guys that that wanted to play. So ideally, I wouldn't want. I mean, Castro.
So you do have like people like that you put in their regular spots.
Oh, that's a fact, brother. But here's the thing.
My apologies. I just misunderstood you there.
Yeah, no, it was just because of the draft question. How did I draft and whatnot? So, like I said, when I draft, not only do I draft for number one, I look for the character and who the person is. And if you look on my team, every one of them are all solid people. Even my Frenchie T-Bot. I mean, but like I said, the good thing about it is, like, every one of those guys can play different positions if I ask them.
Salut, Ty-Bod.
Yeah, boy, salute, merci beaucoup. How you doing, my brother? But they will play, like I had Liquid last year that I also re-signed this year. He played literally every position. And had we been in a better position, I would have probably thrown him in net just because he deserved it, because he played every position for me last year and never said nothing about it. So that goes back to the character and getting the right people on your team, and good things happen, man. And you have fun, and this is what it's all about.
Yeah, true. It's all about fun. Well said, my man.
Well,
absolutely.
Thanks for coming on, Boston. It was good having you. We're going to go on and finish the rest of the division here. Hope to have you on again here in the future.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, I love your show, and to be a part of it is good shit, man. I love you guys.
Well, have a good one, man. I'll see you later.
You too,
much love, man.
You too, brother.
So, with again, thank you to Boston and Captain Clutch earlier for coming on. It's always a blast to have guests on. If you guys are interested in coming on yourselves, feel free to message John or myself, and we'd be happy to sort something out for you guys. Let's go ahead and take another look at the Central Division here. We got Winnipeg leading with 11-5-2 record. Minnesota 8-7-2, right next to Chicago there with their 8-8. Dallas is sitting at 8-10. It's just such a tight race down there. St. Louis 7-8-1. the Avs at 6-8-2, and then Nashville sitting at 5-12-1. This is such a close division. Winnipeg's at that slight lead, but that's about it. John, I believe this is your division, correct? You have a little bit more to say about it?
I'm new. Yeah, it is my new division. So like, I was just recently moved there. I'm new to it. I can only speak for St. Louis, and I wouldn't speak for Ush and Gabs, but what I will say is they made a trade recently from Colorado. They picked up some guy named Bubba Cheeks, and since he's been on the team, I don't know, but they've been killing it. They're like, I think in their last 5, they're 3-1-1. But I'm just joking. I'm Bubba Cheeks, right? That's the anyway. But sorry, but no, I think they're doing a good job. I know they took the team over in St. Louis, and they've been doing a really good job of bringing some solid guys together. And I really love it. Everyone's really eager to play together, and we're all on the same page and getting some W's. And we got Skillsy, who's got some really good thumbs. He can really make some plays happen. And Gabs has got a good finishing ability as well. And so I'm excited for St. Louis myself. I'm excited to finally have a winning chance. And I feel like we have a good chance to beat any team we come across. As long as we keep it tight and play right, we'll win every night.
Sounds like a plan to me. I know Ethan's a pretty good guy, versatile player. I see Chi-Town on there. He's also pretty versatile. Punisher is pretty solid in net. The team looks pretty all right. Hopefully they can prove me. Hopefully they can show me who they really are, because I don't know too many of them. I've been gone for a little too long. This is my old team that I was owner of for years, and hopefully they can carry on the legacy and keep killing it.
Hey, man, I'm a part of the crew, and I give her every night I'm there, so I'll do my best to keep the legacy going for you, brother.
Then we got Winnipeg killing it over here. Let's take a look at their roster quick. Winnipeg, again, is sitting at that 11-5-2 record with a plus 19 goal differential, but they are coming off a 2-loss streak, 5-4-1 in their last 10. So Minnesota and Chicago appear to be picking up a little bit of ground on them. As we know, Beantown, Beatdown, and Alexander are over there. He's killing it. I know Alexander's a solid right wing to have. They got Boss Ross, the former Winnipeg owner himself, sitting on right D. Rep 71, who's a solid, good thumbs left wing. They got Cred on right wing, still at only 500K. That's pretty solid. Johnny W19, 500K. Carter 11, Johnny 45, Bomberman. I know Bomberman is good friends with Beantown, usually on his team or somewhere around, along with Real Deal as well on that right wing. And then they got D-Man, Defu Manchu on that franchise tag, sitting on right wing G position lock. So let's check out how a couple of them are doing. I got Alexander's stats pulled up here. He is sitting at 2.92 points per game in his 13 games played so far. Definitely the spark of their offense. You have any more to say about them here, John?
Well, I'm actually taking a look at their roster right now, and I'm looking for some familiarity. And the names that are popping out at me are Defu Manchu. I don't know how great he is as a right wing. Like, I haven't had a chance to play with him on that front, but I do know what it's like to play against him as in net, and he's definitely a sturdy player. I'm taking a quick peek at Boss the Ross there, Ross the Boss FD, to see what he's been bringing to the table for them this season. And there we go. So he's only got 2 games played for them. So that's surprising. Someone who's being paid $8 million, I guess his availability isn't all that great right now. Hopefully that's going to turn around for them, because that's quite a cap investment, and and a really solid player that when he does come to play, can definitely make an impact even more for Winnipeg. So it's actually kind of scary to see that he's a new acquisition for them, and it's
Absolutely. He's back into a uniform he's used to, though, as you see those plus 133 and plus 101 in those previous seasons. Those were definitely at right D as well with the same team.
Exactly. In 14, 15, and 16, it's just been nothing but mayhem from this man.
We'll see if he gives some expertise and can help him turn it around here.
Yeah. Turn it around. I mean, just more domination for them, right?
see how they do. And then let's go ahead and check out one last team, Nashville, in this division. I know they've been struggling a little bit here. I actually spoke with Sports a little bit on giving them some advice.
And Geek's a solid player, and it's
He's got some
where were
solid
they?
guys.
Where were they sitting at the previous power rankings in the preseason power
Check it out
rankings?
here. One sec. Nashville was 4th from last, so 27th, 28th. So it's just about there. You know, Fleury's pretty solid. See if he can still compete like he used to. Fern Dog's pretty decent left wing.
Yeah, Fern Dog's a vet. Proxo, I think, is a pretty good goalie
They
too.
got KFTD, who's a solid fill-in player. LeBlanc 21 is an absolutely phenomenal center. Chucky 514 is pretty solid on left wing. Chaug is a solid left D, but I know he's really busy and his availability might be a little bad. And it looks like
And hey, Sports Geek's a good goalie. Like he is, he could steal a game for you. Like he's not a slouch himself.
they do still have $8 million in free cap. That's definitely going to help them a lot. Finding somebody, bringing up some talents. Maybe he's burning another ELC. So we'll see what they do here. I have faith that he'll be able to turn it around some. It is a very tight division, and he's not that far out.
Yeah, it's true, and it's really early in the season. Like you can't. I mean, yes, it's like 2 weeks in, you kind of get an idea of where we are at the present, but that does not mean that this is the way that things are going to end in the future, right? So these teams, you know, with the right management and the right mindset, the right players, you know, anything could happen. You could really turn it around. So I don't know if you're listening, Geek, but I'd like to sit down and talk with you about this. Ask you a few questions, but I'll try to DM you about it.
Sounds good. From there, we're going to move on to the Pacific Division. We got the Golden Knights just killing it, 16-2-1.
Yeah.
Calgary right behind them, 15-2-1. Both have a plus 52 goal differential. Then we got Vancouver coming back in 13-3-2. LA in 13-4-0. Arizona is still at that 11-6-1. San Jose 10-5-1. This is another absolutely tough division.
Yeah.
And then we got the two bottom dwellers. Edmonton sitting at that 4. They're 2-14-2.
Yeah, they're the bottom. Yeah.
Anaheim sitting in that 2-16-1.
They are the bottom two in the entire league right now. Having a tough go at it this year.
Yeah, that negative 72 goal differential for Edmonton is just a shocker at this point. 18 games played, negative 72 goals. Let's take a look at the roster, see what we can figure out. So we got head case here, longtime owner, new captain to me at least, DMC Gloin. Got Rick Shaw in net. That's the guy that's always been around head case in some form. El Rookie, who's
I thought you were calling Rickshaw head case, and I was gonna say he's a really fun guy to play with though. Rickshaw, really positive guy. So I was with him in, I think it was Colorado at the beginning, and I guess he's new to that team. So that's really positive for them, that acquisition, because he's the type of guy that could really bring the spirits up of the players around him. Like he sits in net and he's just a positive presence and he's hilarious. And I think that's a really good acquisition by them. If they're looking to, you know, gain some a morale boost, then Rick Shaw is the guy to bring it to the table.
Absolutely. And then we have Razor, lefty, another former owner. El Rookie, who's that solid utility I was talking about. I don't recognize too many more of these guys. Acer I've seen around in net. Graham Scott coming on right D off of that 2-year contract. They definitely going to need to make some moves. I think they're going to need points.
In my personal experience, I like my own VG career, to say the least, has not been a pretty one. But out from those flames, you know, I learned a lot of lessons, right? It's, you know, as to what not to do when you're running teams, right? And I noticed there's like main factors that come into play. There's availability, there's hockey IQ, right? And there's locker room chemistry. I feel like are the main things that really are the recipe for success. And if you're missing one of those things in your team, then, you know, that's something you got to rectify. I feel like it's like a tripod for a team. And if you're missing one of those legs, it's going to tilt her over, right? So hopefully they can figure out what they're missing to start that rekindle that fire out there.
I am checking out Miller here, who is their franchise tag center. 7 goals, 9 assists in 17 games, and at .94 points per game with a -43. I think they're gonna really have to make some moves on offense here. Kind of gut this roster and restart. They do have just over $12 million in cap. They can definitely take on a big contract. And
well, best of luck to them. Well, let's take it to the other end of that, to the top of the list. With them, talk about Vegas for a moment.
The Vegas Golden Knights, they were number 7 coming into the season, preseason power rankings.
Right. And they're number 1 right now.
Yep. Malkin currently
is the number 1
points.
Everything. Yeah, he's bossing out hard. Their 3 main offensive weapons right now, from what I've seen, are Bill Hicks, Malkin himself, and Skred. They're all ranked in their respective positions, top in the league. They're just beastie. And I know going into the preseason when we saw them at number 7, I had said that these guys are going to be a serious headache for anyone that they come across because of the offensive punch that these guys pack. It's overwhelming.
On top of that, they still have $2 million in cap to mess around with. They could definitely
scary.
Find ways to even improve further and really bring the West up to the East there. They're still in a tough division. It's going to be a fight. They have St. Louis, Nashville, and Colorado coming up. St. Louis and they're all 3 must-win games for them. There's no excuse to lose any of them.
Yeah, they're definitely a beastie team, and I look forward to playing against them because it's a good measuring stick for myself. Like when I just signed up for the league, it's all about fun, and I really love VG, man. You guys do a great job with the media, and I'm happy to be a part of it too. And it's just exciting. It's exciting.
Absolutely.
They're scary.
But now you're a part of it and able to do it all yourself.
We cannot sleep on Calgary either. Calgary are insanely tough. Like
absolutely.
It's really hard to say that one team is above the other, because Calgary right now, I think they're on like a 12-game winning streak, I believe, if my memory serves me correct.
Correct. 12-game winning streak, 10-1-1 at home, 5-1-0 on the road.
Whew. Beast. Like beast mode.
So they're definitely feeling it.
Oh yeah, they got Convict, Perrins, and I had it written down. Mark. Mark. Beasts. These guys are leading the way out there in Calgary, and without a shadow of a doubt, the strongest player, in my opinion, that they're carrying on their roster is Snipe Shoddy. If you take a look at, he's number 1 right now in the entire league as out of all the goaltenders.
6 shutouts
take a look at his shots he's faced. He's faced more shots than any goalie in the top 10, and his save percentage is the highest. This guy is a beast. They got offensive punch. They got a good defensive core and solid net mining. Like they're going to be scary this year. And if anyone's going to knock them out of the West to go to the final, knock Vegas out of the top spot, I believe it'll be Calgary.
Yeah, as you all know, D. Perrins was on the last podcast to start the season, and he was very confident in his team's ability, and it's definitely showing there.
Yeah, as he should be.
We definitely can't miss out on giving Vish some recognition here. In his 10 games, he's sitting at 3.3 points per game, and a plus 30.
Beast. That's depth.
He's averaging +3 per game at center there, and he's just an absolutely solid player to help carry that team even further.
For sure. They're a scary, scary bunch. And I'm a little biased because outside of VG, I'm a Flame fan myself. Like I fell in love with those guys back in the day, back when Iggy and his bunch of nobodies went to the final there before the first lockout. That's when I switched to the Flames. So anyway. Yeah, it's just scary. Those are some scary teams out there. I'll tell you right now.
Well, thank you for joining me, John. I had a great time. I'm going to end it up here, getting our next guest on with Execution. Give John a hand for being my new co-host. He's a huge help this season. Thank you, man.
Thanks so much for having me, man. It's always a pleasure. And I look forward to the next show. And shout out to St. Louis. We're turning it around, baby. Let's go.
Have a good one. So now we have our next guest in here, Execution. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. Happy early St. Patrick's Day, right?
Hey, here in Pittsburgh, we celebrate all weekend long.
That's fair. That's fair. So we'll go ahead and take a look at your roster quick before we move on. Let you talk about your roster a little bit. Get some professional insight, you know. I know you and Wally pretty well, so looks like you still have a lot of some of the same players with MTL core there from last time I saw you guys. You got Bubba back on right wing, Ultimatum in net. Can you tell us a little more about it?
Yeah, we were able to get most of our core back from last season and even the Calder Cup champion season. So been able to keep everyone together, which is I feel is important. Availability has been a killer for us lately. This new rule has kind of handcuffed us a bit. So trying to get a lineup where all of our starters play and I'm not playing wing. So once we get the defense back together with Wally, Grizz, and myself, and get Matthews out there with core and BDs, I think we're going to be a little dangerous.
Absolutely. You do have a little bit of free cap there with almost $4 million. Got one guy on IR currently, but you seem to be able to make moves if you need to, and really it sounds like it's just a matter of figuring the availability out and coming together.
I mean, that extra cap is for the pizza party at the end of the year and goes into Wally and I's pocket, so I'm not looking to spend too much of that.
Sounds good. So let's move on. We're going to take a look at the top stats of the season here so far. I'm just going to filter it to this season quick. We're going to start off with forwards. Are there any forwards that stick out to you specifically so far?
I mean, you got your familiar names up there: Malkin, 71, Matkino, Tarasenko, Gomark. MJ Vol had a really good week 2. Just to give you a sneak peek at the players of the week.
You go against MJ Vol and Ryza Ninja, who are both in the top 6 in forwards right now, coming up tomorrow night. How do you feel about that?
We like a challenge. We like going up against those top teams. Hopefully we have the same top lineup to match them. Otherwise, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Okay. Any let's just point out a couple big stats here quick. We've got Tarasenko with that 3.47 points per game. King Bling chilling with that 3.7 points per game. I do see you guys have MTL Core currently as your top ranked forward in the rankings here. 16 games played, 9 goals, 26 assists, 2.19 points per game, but he's chilling at a -4. 8-6-2 is his record in those games. Tell us more about that struggle. Is that just the availability going on, or?
I'd like to blame Carolina for that.
Yeah.
If we didn't have how do you say it, a shit show that game and gave up, I think, 8 goals.
Oof.
It killed everybody's plus minus, so we've been trying to slowly recover from that game. So just blame Carolina.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to defense here. Any defensemen stick out to you so far this season, or just typical names, you think?
How do you say his name? Gaba.
Sitting at that plus 23. Is that a name change or a new player? I haven't been around recently to know who it was.
I've seen the name. He's a solid guy. Definitely helping carry that New Jersey team. What's their record, like 15-1 or something?
Yeah, I think it was 16-1-0, 15-1-0.
You got D Parents up there. He's solid. Romer, I don't know how to say his name. I'm terrible with names, by the way.
Looks like Rich is playing some defense this year. That's something new to me, or at least that I don't see too often. He's sitting at -4 though at it. 14 games played, 8 on defense for Rich 2K8 though.
You've been gone a while.
Yeah, I have been.
He played D. He played D last year. He's pretty solid.
That's why I have you here. Catch me up
I
on
don't know
everything.
anything.
RB Cressers, that's a name I definitely recognize, sitting at plus 14.81. Matty A with New Jersey has a 1.44 points per game. Just beating out LaFleur at those top points per game right now.
Can't forget about the statistician, always a solid D-man over in Vegas.
Yep, sitting at that 1 goal, 15 assists, plus 25 and 1.23 points per game. 19 hits. Looks like Smirk is just killing it with hits this year at 101 already in 16 games. That's something, playing defense myself, I found out is something you have to do even more this season. You got to really give the body on guys, since you can't really poke check them without tripping them anymore. I know you play some right D as well. Have you noticed the same thing?
Yeah, I try not to poke check at all. It's a losing battle. Speaking of Smirk, him and Dr. Wally have a little competition going here with hits. I think they're both tied with 101, so it'd be interesting to see who ends up on the top. But you got Convict over there leading the league in hits right now with 114. So a forward laying the boom.
Here we got Dr. Wally's stats up. He's at plus minus of 0, so he's keeping it alive there. Struggling on the points sector though. Only 1 goal, 6 assists so far in 15 games. Those 23 PIMs seem to be up there a little bit as well. Maybe hitting that poke check button a little much, or fighting knowing Wally. Who knows? But yeah, he's at that 101 hits, tied with him. Any other notes? You got Grizzly here with 15 games played as well, negative 11. I'm sure a lot of that's just with your availability in that Carolina game. Any more input on these guys?
Well, I mean, Wally is leading the league in third assists. He will personally tell you that over and over.
I was trying to get him on, but he's out of the bar too right now.
The PIMs are definitely, there's at least one fighting major in there for sure. Grizz is a solid guy. We've played with him for years. Just recently got into the competitive side, playing VG. He's a solid guy, utility guy. He can play forward and defense. It's nice to have that third defenseman you can slot in there whenever you need, either replacing Wally or myself. So we like Grizz. We love him. He's our brother.
So we'll move on to net here, where you do have someone in the top 10 currently. Ultimatum is 7.5-2, 3.08 GAA, and a 7.73 save percentage. You can tell us a little more about Ultimatum's season so far?
We've let him down. I feel bad for him, because you can see, he is the league leader in shots against, and that's never good. As far as the defenseman and goalie are concerned. Just some unlucky goals he's had this year. He's been solid for us. He's been positive, never complains. Really good guy. He was on our Calder Cup team. Loved him then. Glad we could get him back for this season.
Absolutely. What about the incredible season that Snipe Shot he's having? He actually has a few more shots against than Ultimatum already in his 18 games played. That's probably why. But he's sitting with 205 shots against, he's still sitting at an 898 save percentage and a 1.16 GAA and 6 shutouts, while second place only has 3.
Man, I don't know if you can award the Vezina this early, but he's pretty much on track. 9-0 last week, a .89 goals against, 911 save percentage, just crazy stats. He's only facing, I think, 10 shots a game, though, so that definitely helps. But can't take that away from him. He's solid goaltender. It's crazy what he's doing so far.
And then you can look at some of these other people who aren't on the hottest teams, but are still just having great seasons, like IYZ, CNIZI, however you're supposed to pronounce that. He's sitting at 6-2 with a 1.88 GAA and an 815 save percentage, and that's most of his team's wins right there whenever he's in that. Few more people like that all throughout this league. Punisher 5-4-1 for St. Louis. 5-1-0 for Laknich in Arizona. 5-4 for Devin Deggs in Boston, still holding on that plus 800 save percentage. Is there anyone else that sticks out to you here?
I mean, goaltender wise, even our former goaltender, Wonder Rocket, you know, sitting on a Colorado team that was struggling, went 4-2-1 last week. Only 2 goals against. He was pretty solid. Speaking of Boston, is anybody else scared of Boston Hydro and thinking that he might be part of the mafia? So let's let Chicago get in the playoffs there.
Yeah, I'm not part of that team now, so I can't say anything.
I understand.
Well, at least in the organization. Anything else before we close out the podcast here? Wish everyone a happy St. Paddy's Day.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Stay safe. Don't stay sober.
But don't drive either.
Get an Uber.
Okay, well, thanks for coming on. Always a blast to have you. Always welcome on here. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. We'll be on again in another 2 weeks. We'll see if it's Friday or Saturday this time, and I'll try to announce it a little more ahead of time for next week. And as always, thanks for coming out. We'll have the video up on the website tomorrow for you guys and uploaded. Have a good one, and good night.